I want to be completely honest. Advertising sales was never my passion. I don't think as a Black child growing up, that was not how life was presented to me. It was not, what is your passion? And you can be great at that. I was an investment. You have two choices. You can have a job that you love, that gets you out of bed in the morning and that you are passionate about, or you can have a life that you love, that gets you out of bed in the morning, that you're passionate about, and a job that lets you live it. That changed everything for me.
Welcome to the After Chapter podcast. I'm Michelle.
And I'm Cecilia. We explore who you are when the roles fall away
And pour into what's next, one conversation at a time.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the After Chapter podcast.
Hi,
Michelle.
Hi, Cecilia. How is your day going?
My day, this is the highlight of my day. So I'm excited to share this space. And I've been really looking forward to today's conversation and the special guest who is joining us. So today's episode asks a question that can really unravel your identity. And so eager to dig deeper.
Yeah, it's definitely a moment of pause, a moment for you to go, So it's really about, is passion for something enough to build a life around it? So we're always told to really follow what you love, turn that passion into your purpose, build a career around what lights you up, what sets your soul, going. But what happens when that passion really isn't enough and you don't have enough of the talent, and then that passion kind of starts to feel like a lot of pressure weighing you down, and it's not passion anymore. It's now a job. So today we're going to really talk about what happens when that love meets its limits with our guest, which you'll be introducing.
Yeah, so I will take it. So I'm really excited to have someone who I have respected and admired for quite some time. And so Melissa Finney is going to be I'm joining us. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about her. I'm not going to do her whole bio because it's truly fabulous, but she is a seasoned digital media sales executive who has an impressive background. She's led growth and expansion for major brands that we know, from everything from Spotify, Unilever, Coca-Cola, L'Oreal. She's been a guest lecturer at NYU Stern. She's a member of the Fox School of Business. She's done so much work, including, I can go on and on and on about her volunteer work, but the sentence that I like most about Melissa in this moment, now retired. She focuses on philanthropic, mentorship, and expanding opportunities and we have to update this part. It says from her home in Harlem, but Melissa is joining us from her temporary new home, and I'll let her tell you where she's joining us from. So, hey, Melissa.
Hey, ladies. How are you?
Good. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm happy to be with you, joining you from Mexico City, just for a few months. Dos meses.
Wonderful. But before we go deep into the conversation, we don't go deep until we pour. So, Michelle, let's talk about this week's pour.
Yeah. So this week, since we're really talking about what happens when that passion isn't enough, I chose a dry rosé. So, rosé has that reputation. It's summer in a glass. It's easy. It's pink. But a really dry rosé is not sweet. It's very soft. It looks really soft, but it really isn't very soft. And that's really fitting for today's conversation. And it reminds us of something that can be really beautiful, but yet still really demanding and disciplined. And that is what we're really exploring today. So before Cecilia and I take our sip, we always ask our guests, what are they drinking? What are they pouring for this conversation? So Melissa, what do you have in your glass?
Ladies, prepare to be bored and senseless. I am drinking agua. I do not drink. I'm a good time without drinking. But yeah, I'm almost always drinking water all the time. So you're always going to catch me with a little.
Well, that's nature's rosé.
Is it?
Nature's rosé. That's all it is. That's all it is. Well,
Nature's
cheers to the
rosé.
conversation. Cheers to
Oh
the
my goodness.
rosé. Rosé.
Cheers.
Yes.
Are you
Cheers.
loving it? Nature's rosé is pretty
There you
amazing.
go.
I like that.
So, Melissa, so tell
Yeah.
me, when did your dream really get complicated?
If I'm honest, it was always complicated. It was always a struggle for me in corporate America. There was always a tax that I was paying, and it was a tax I was willing to pay, and it was a tax that I was happy with what I was getting. And in my last really big job, I was doing well, and I was managing a very big team, and I was asked to move over to do something completely different and to start something new. And I just felt like this was not what I wanted. And then I started to ask myself, is any of this actually what I want? And that was a really hard question. And I have to be honest, I was not prepared to answer it. But as things progressed, I just kind of went with the flow. And there was something that happened to me that was just normally when I am faced with an adversity, I get very nervous and I'm very afraid of the outcome. And something came over me this time where I just said, we all know how this is going to end. And it ends with me winning. So why don't we cut out all of the unnecessary drama and anxiety and just get to that part? And that's honestly how I felt when I left that company. And so I decided to take a year sabbatical. And that year opened up everything for me. I just, first off, it took me a good 4 months to just rest and relax and release. And I just started seeing that there was more to the life that I was leading. So I went back to work because that was my plan, and I do what I planned to do. And it didn't fit anymore. And I couldn't shake this desperation for freedom. And I just started thinking about how could I get free? How could I get free? How could I get free? And I left that job and I thought about getting another job, but I could not bear to open LinkedIn. I just could not do it. And I had a very good friend who was telling me about she just accepted a job, and she grimaced as she told me about the job. And I said to her, do you really have to work? And I realized I was talking to myself. And then I did some math and realized that the answer was no. So I didn't.
That's a lot to unpack and to double click. So one, I appreciate the care and time that which you tell your story. Two, I have so many questions about what you were thinking and what you were feeling. And so what I would love to understand, right? You said that you, in that story, the example that you gave, you said that you knew that you would end up winning. And so I'm not going to use the word loving, right? So clearly you're good at something. And so how did you reconcile being good at something with being responsible for what you truly wanted?
I think, there's many definitions of winning, and another person might just say that you would be okay in the end. And I'm surrounded by faithful people, but I am not faithful. I am scared all of the time, and I am filled with doubt. But I have noticed that when I bet on myself, I never let myself down. I have always been here for myself. And my track record says that I win. Normally, I mean, it was my job for many years to win millions of dollars for other people, but over and over again, I win and I win and I win. And so in this particular moment, I cannot tell you why, but I just felt like, I mean, I literally heard that voice like, no, girl, how does this go? And why are we playing these games? In the end, you win. And if you haven't won yet, it's because it's not the end. I am not this arrogant, but I promise you there was just a, it was calm that I normally do not feel ever. That just told me it was going to be all right. And so I didn't yet know what I wanted. I knew what I did not want, and I knew that I win.
Melissa, can I interrupt you? Can we go? I mean, I have a question. Let's go back to
Okay.
basic. Firstly, can you share what was your passion? I don't know if at least I heard that, because the question, we want to know first, in terms of when the passionate is enough. So what were you passionate about? Was that the role? And when did that now shift and change for you before we go into questioning, is this right for me, or what's my next step? Can we go to when you were excited and this is what fueled you, because this is something you were really passionate about, and then it got complicated?
Sure. I want to be completely honest. Advertising and advertising sales was never my passion. I don't think as a Black child growing up, that was not how life was presented to me. It was not, what is your passion? And you can be great at that. I was an investment. People poured into me, and I was expected to deliver on that investment. And so I went to school I wanted to be an English major, but I became a journalism major because that was an actual career. And when I went into interning, I realized that journalists weren't paid enough based on what I was paying for college. And I saw that the richest people at the media publication that I was working at were in sales. And so I became a salesperson. I moved to New York City, and New York City was and is my passion. And that this was a career that allowed me to live in the city that I love and that I am passionate about in the way that I want to live in it. And I became passionate about that. I do believe, though, that sales is an art form. The people who do it well, it is a beautiful thing to watch. I love it. Being able to persuade someone is an amazing, amazing quality. One that I was terrible at when I started. And I worked really hard to get better at it. And I was really enthralled by the career, but passionate about the life that I led, that a career afforded me.
Well, can I ask you about you? I think you said, if I remember correctly, you liked being an English major. Is that correct? Or
no, I wanted to be an English major. I loved reading.
Okay,
I loved reading. I read everything I possibly could.
So maybe the word isn't passionate, but that was a subject, an area that really piqued your interest. Is that safe to say?
Sure. Yes. Yes.
Okay. I'm just trying to understand the timeline or the narrative around this. But if you went into journalism based on that, being an English major, which, does make sense, but you are saying that you realize the income that you can get as a journalist versus being in sales is very different. And so I guess my question is more around did you just know that, I envision for myself a certain lifestyle. And so whether I am passionate or I'm interested in something, my goal is really to be in a certain lifestyle. And so I'm going to put that on the back burner and focus on what can get me there.
100%. And I know at the exact moment that it happened. There was a woman that I worked with, and every time I emailed her, I always got an out of office, every single time. And it was a crazy out of office. It would be like jet skiing on Lake Victoria. Like, it was crazy. I'll be back on Tuesday. One day I walked past her office, and she was there. And I said, "Oh my God, I can't believe you're here. Can I speak to you for a second?" And I came and I closed the door and I said, "How can you always be on vacation?" And she said, "Oh, well, my husband is a photographer for National Geographic, and he always gets an extra ticket for me, and I get to do that." And I said, "Oh my God, that's amazing. But how did you leave work? Like, how is that possible?" And you have two choices. You can have a job that you love, that gets you out of bed in the morning and that you are passionate about, or you can have a life that you love, that gets you out of bed in the morning, that you're passionate about, and a job that lets you live it. That changed everything for me. All I thought about from that point forward was that the goal is the life. The goal is the life. And so when I was interning at Playboy, I saw that there were men that came in at 10, took 3-hour martini breaks, and left at 5. And their shoes were shiny, and that briefcase was Ferragamo. And I thought, I too can leave at 10. And I'm probably smart enough to leave at 5 as well. What do they do? And this is so ridiculous, but I literally said that to the publisher, and the publisher told me about ad sales. And I said, "Well, then I want to do that." And he said, "Oh, you have to have training and everything like that or whatever." And I hounded him every single day for a year, for a year. And he played golf with the president of the time at the time of ESPN, who was starting something new and couldn't get any salespeople to sell it. And he said, "Oh, I got this girl that won't stop calling me." And that's how I got a job selling at ESPN.com.
So it sounds like your, passion was, as you just said, the lifestyle. So you had people in various points in the beginning of your adulthood career where you were excited by the lifestyle that they led, which sounded and looked exciting for you that you wanted to take on. So it sounds like your passion was that. And so having the passion, the excitement for that lifestyle, it's clearly not enough to just do that. Now it's, how do I get there? And
Yes.
and it sounds like it's safe to say that how do I get there is figuring out from that, how can I support and create a life that I now am, as that person said to you, that woman said to you, not a job per se that you come in where you're excited and passionate about, but you are waking up every day because you have this lifestyle that you've created, and that's
Yes.
what's exciting for you.
And I could just add as well, right? As it sounds like the defining moment was one, her out of office. So seeing that, right? So that's giving you like, so something something is different about the way that she's moving and navigating in this space. And then 2, getting the chance to have that conversation. So that revelation, what I'd be interested to know is, what did that tell you about yourself in that moment?
I think it showed me what I valued. I'm a girl from Philly whose mom would take her to play every Christmas in New York City. And I love New York City so much. And I just wanted to be here. And didn't get enough money to go to college in New York. And so I just wanted anything I could do to be here. And what she was saying, I just heard that I could have the life that I wanted. And no one had ever said that to me before. I've only seen, especially Black folks, and she was not Black, but I had only seen Black folks working really, really, really hard. And so that one day they could live the life that they wanted to live. And to see someone living it at that particular moment, I thought, I can do that. I think I'm always, for better or for worse, been looking for a cheat code. Yeah, Cecilia, you and I were talking about how, like, I'm trying not to give any more tips, but it's also only because I always want tips. Like, just give me the cheat code. Give me the cheat code. And I felt like she was giving me a cheat code, like that it doesn't have to be what you think it is. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, you know what? And it's not that she gave you a cheat code. I don't think that's it. I think
Yeah.
what she deposited was possibility.
Yes, that I
And so
never
it's
considered.
not a cheat code, right? Because she didn't tell you how to do it. She just told you
Mhm.
what feel like, right? Like as
Yeah.
I hear you to describe you either have a job that you're excited about or you have a life that you're excited about. You
Mhm.
and as I'm hearing, you already had these mustard seeds planted, right? So your annual trip to New York to the theater planted, right? Now you see that this woman who's living life and her cheat code is her husband, right? And so
Mhm. Mhm.
you she didn't give you a cheat code. She deposited possibility, and that I think that's really what I'm hearing. Knowing that it could happen, then
Mhm.
what to figure out. Well, how can I make this happen for me? Like, how can I build that life?
Right.
I like, I love
S-
it.
So once you decided that, you wanted to create this life that you were really excited about, as you said, you realized that sales was going to be, at least at where you were, that was helping you to afford and start building that type of a life. Could you then talk to us about when did that transition? When did you begin to really feel that shift in terms of, is this weighing the pros and cons, meaning, is the life that I'm trying to build outweigh the job that I'm doing that I'm not very excited about? And so I will kind of trudge through it because the life that I want to live is much more important to me.
I think I thought that that was just the price that I had to pay, and I was willing to pay it until I was 36 and I had a stroke in the office, and everything changed. I was carried out of the office and medevaced to the emergency room, and I woke up, I don't know, 24, 48 hours later with a doctor and my husband at the time standing over me. And um, it was obviously a life changing moment. I think there's a quote that is everyone has two lives, and your second life begins when you realize you only have one.
Mhm.
Really changed everything for me. And it wasn't that I decided, it was that my body decided.
Right.
My body, our bodies are telling us things all the
Right.
time, and I refused to listen. I never ever heard it. I didn't hear it when I gained 60 pounds upon moving to New York and in this career where you're entertaining people all of the time and, being out and about. I didn't listen when I started to have little pains. I just never listened. I just thought this is the cost, and I was ready to pay it. And I when I and by the way, that was 10 years before I decided to stop working. I've been thinking a lot about, 'cause people ask me all the time, why or how I retired early. But when I think about it, I retired 10 years after this moment.
Mhm.
It's early to some, but I put in another 10 years, even after my body said, we don't like this and we give up. So I think so that was a pivotal moment. But then when I went back to work, um, after not the stroke, but the sabbatical, and I got sick again, I realized that I did not know how to be who I wanted to be and they needed me to be, or who I said that I would be for them, um, and not get sick. I did not know how to do it. And so I chose the only choice that I could make, which was me.
I know that somebody is listening to this or watching this and is going to be hearing things that they recognize, right? And so I think that trying to balance the life that I want to have, who I want to be, what do I need? And so by the what do I need is the resources. But and we talked about this in our first episode. We plan for the resource, right? The resource of finance. We don't always think about the resource of health.
Right.
And
Oh my God.
so, and so what you're saying is you now were in a position where you had the resources to support the life, even if the job not the ideal, but the
Absolutely.
resource of health was knocking it was whispering like there's something bigger. And so for 10 years.
Yes.
And so I would love to know, like, because you said it's what happened or what was the pivot point at that 10-year mark post the stroke or was it the sabbatical? Like, what was it that made you think I have to figure out a new pathway?
And can I just add on there? I really what sounds like for me when I'm listening to it, it's not even a resource. It's more of you've had so many of these breadcrumbs. You've had so many moments. Yes, it could be the health thing, but it also is as well. Just you then go on sabbatical, so I'm sure had moments to really try to think about this, your life and where you want it to go. So I think that there are many moments that you've mentioned that there were those breadcrumbs, those pauses and whispers. And so the question is also, what is it when you did come back and your health is still that breadcrumb now is still coming, that whisper is now knocking. It's not a whisper.
It's louder.
Yeah, it's much louder. So one is, did you feel like, yes, I saw those signs, but I was ignoring them? I was ignoring those signs, those red flags? Or was it that maybe you did not see them because you had a plan for yourself, and so you just were focused on that?
I am someone who wants advice and really, really listens to people and really is looking for signs. And during a particularly stressful work moment, I called my father and I was just telling him everything. Work is tough and I don't really like it. And I think I'm getting sick again and blah, blah, blah. And he said, Melissa, I've been telling you for years, old Black man, I've been telling you for years, you can't trust these people. Been telling you to start your own business and do your own thing and blah, blah. And now I'm crying. And I'm like, I know, Dad, you said that. And I wanted to do it, but I didn't do it and blah, blah, blah. And then he said, but you did do it. You bought that property. You saved that amount of money. You did this. You did it. You did it. It didn't look like I thought it was going to look, but you did it. Act like it. Act like you have the backup plan that you actually have. Act like you have that amount of money in your bank account that you actually have. Act like you have the passive income that you have. You have it. And I needed him to say that. I had no idea. Every day, I worked 2 jobs my entire 20s. And I bought a house when I was 25. I never didn't have a 401k. Never. I was the girl that saved every single thing. I moved into a 1-bedroom with my roommate. I lived in the dining room. I always did those things. I had it all. It was in you all along, Berthy. And someone to say it to me and to show me. And when he said that, I'm telling you, I went into work the next day and when somebody said something to me, I was like, who are you talking to? Did you not know what is in my bank account? How many properties I own, who I am? The thing is that like you have been who you are all along. You have been planning. When I told my best friend from college that I retired, she was the least surprised person in the world. Oh my God, she could not have been less surprised. And I was so surprised how unsurprised she was. She was like, of course. You lived in a studio. You could have cooked from your bed in college to save money. Of course you're retiring. You taught us how to, I was pulling people in rooms at my last company, telling them what to do with their stock options, of course. So I said this to say, these seeds have been planted long ago by you, by your people, by all these people who've been investing in you all these years. So I don't know, ladies. I'm on a tangent. Am I answering your question?
Why? So
You
what
are.
made you, why do you believe that you had to hear it from someone else, your
I didn't
father
trust
or
myself.
whomever, versus yourself? Why?
I did not trust myself. I do not trust myself.
Why is
I,
that?
oh my goodness, that's a longer therapy session.
Where does that come from?
That comes from when I was younger, I made a really, really poor choice and I never recovered from it. And I thought, you're so stupid. You can't be trusted to make your own choices. You have to do what everyone else says. From that point on, I did what everyone else said. That's why I had a 401k at 21. That's why I got a second job. That's why I do this. I did that. That's why I check my horoscope every other day. I didn't
So,
have a words.
But Melissa, when that happened, and yes, you made a poor choice, whatever that was,
Mm-hmm.
is it because, I'm just trying to understand, when that choice was made, did you feel that other people shamed you? And so
the
you
judgment.
then said, I don't know how to make right choices for myself.
No, I didn't feel shame.
Did something outside, external, validate and compound the bad decision that you made?
For better or for worse, shame is not a feeling I feel.
Okay.
What I did feel was disappointment. And as an investment, to be disappointing was the worst thing I could have been. And I just didn't want to disappoint again. And I have felt bad. That is a feeling that goes through the decades, right? 20, 30, 40, just not wanting to disappoint people on their expectations of who I should be.
It's funny because you refer to yourself as an investment and people are pouring in.
Mm-hmm.
But investments go up and down, right? And so people hold on to investments, right? And so it's, the whole concept of buy low and sell high, right? But what I'm interested in, and it's kind of direction that I feel that you're going, Michelle, in the conversation is, where are these messages coming from? Because even the message of being a disappointment, did someone say that? Or is that just something that you internalized?
That's something I
Or,
internalized.
or even if someone didn't say it, it could just be the messages that you just see
The micro
outside of yourself.
messages.
It could be no friend, no family ever said it, but yeah, just other people outside might, is that part of your narrative for yourself?
I mean, what was said in my household constantly was that failure is not an option.
Mm.
Constantly. And that's something I'm very proud of, and I think as I see some of my incredibly talented, brilliant Black friends try to start businesses, and I see them hesitate, I know that is because they also grew up in homes where failure was not an option. And the problem is in entrepreneurship, failure is mandatory.
Right.
And, I didn't grow up in a home where there were B's or C's, not even, and we all know twice as good, half as much, you know? So many people paid for me to go to college, and I'm eternally grateful,
Mm.
and I think about that every day. I mean, my proudest achievement is that I have a scholarship for Black girls to study abroad at my alma mater, and that is because someone paid for me.
Right. Yeah. Did you, I'm not even I was trying to pick a point in time, but just overall, like through this, I guess, that journey, from beginning of this, I just saw this lifestyle that I really want, and I want to achieve it, to the, breadcrumbs and, knocks and pauses that had happened along your path. And to the point of now your father saying, as you, reference Wizard of Oz, Dorothy, you had it within you that whole time. What did it reveal about you? What did you learn about yourself after all of that you didn't know from before, if you look back?
The conversation with my friend she was unsurprised was really telling to me, because like I said, I was surprised. I think retiring at 47 is crazy. It is insane. I've never heard of this in my entire life. I wrestle with it every day. And the fact that she was unsurprised that this was always me was really like, I'm still meeting me. And the fact that she already knew that was crazy to me. It's amazing. Thank God for friends. Thank God for friends, for witnesses.
Yeah.
And friends are the ones who see you, right?
Woo!
See
All
you.
of it.
And see you and see the potential, the possibility, right? And so all the things that you talked about doing, having a roommate and living in the room and working for 2 jobs, you're showing people an example. But what's interesting is that you don't even see the example that you're developing, this blueprint that you're developing for yourself. And so what I'm interested in, if we could move, so again, there's a lot that you had to unpack to get to that point of stepping away at such an early age. What surprised you once you made that choice?
That I had no hobbies. That that I was creative. Who knew? That again, that's something. I don't want to say I wasn't allowed to be it, but it just wasn't. That wasn't in my household. Creativity,
Not a priority.
no. Oh no! If it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. Absolutely not. I mean,
You're giving so many quotes.
no, I love a quote. Oh my goodness, are you kidding? I love a quote. That- it doesn't. It doesn't. But I still believe that. Uh, like there's a lot of on the other side, and like whatever you thought your number was to retire, it's not your number. I had a number in my head. It was a big number, but I am willing to have less to have more. And just, I'm how this is, oh my God, it's a little too Oprah woohoo for me, but like how big life is and also how small it is. And what I mean by that is like, man, I agonized over so many choices, so many things, and it didn't matter. It was all gonna be fine no matter what, because I'm fine. On the other side is like I have a lot of peaceful mornings.
Yeah.
So
you know what? Can we talk about the other side?
I distinctly remember reading the news and feeling like the US was burning and feeling very, very, very nervous about what was happening to my country and thinking about where do I want to be? What will I do? What can life look like? And instead of going to LA, I thought I'm going to go get my retirement visa in Mexico. And how do you prove that you're retired? Turns out, guys, there's no proof. You just don't work. We're all retired. Anyway, so I went and I love learning. My hobby is learning. I feel better about myself when I'm learning. And so I decided that I would be in Spanish immersion class every day. That is now my job. I'm in Spanish class every day. And that's it. And
So
I'll be back
Melissa,
in April. Mhm.
now that you're on the other side,
Mhm.
can you talk to us more about, do you feel that you now you're a better picker? You learn from those knocks, those pauses in the past. You've learned from the successes that you've had as well as failures, and just learning more about yourself now that you are retired, you're on this other side. Do you feel that you you have a better understanding of yourself, your identity, so that you feel that your decisions are centered around who you are at this time?
Yes and no. I feel like mm, I feel like I have great taste. I have great taste in companies. I have great taste in husbands. I have great taste in friends. I have great taste. But I do not know, I still do not trust myself because I am very, 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 very afraid. But I'm also very courageous. So now I kind of throw myself towards whatever I'm fearful of. So as soon as I think I can't do that or I don't want to do that or that is terrifying, I go do it. So you could say that made me a good picker. It's not. It's me going against my picker. I would not be in Mexico. I would not, transport two dogs across, borders and have to get USDA approval. Like it's ridiculous. I would not. I've moved 4 times since I've been here. It has been a challenging. I'm the worst person in my class. I have not been the worst person in any class in 47 years, and I am. Yo soy, okay? Pero, and I, but I'm, I'm proud of the person that did it anyway.
You
So,
know, when you talk about the failures and the fear of failures, it makes me think that that life is not about the fear of failures, it's about the fear of living.
mm,
And so
I,
and you and I've had this conversation about facing your fears and doing it anyway. And so picker or not, I think the fact that you're over there, the fact that continue to challenge yourself, you stepped away, it speaks a lot. And I love that you consider yourself a learner, because when you stop learning, you stop.
yes,
And so this tremendous inspiration in your story. There's tremendous messaging. I love the term the breadcrumbs, right? The mustard seeds, the signs that were there that you didn't see, but others around you saw for you. And so I
yes,
think that's amazing. And I'm excited to see, what comes next.
me too. I will also just say though, when I got sick, um, I realized that I wasn't afraid of dying. I was afraid of not living. And when I had moments when I couldn't walk and I couldn't cancel on with my friends all the time because I was in so much pain, and I and my quality of life was so bad, and I was afraid. My biggest fear was that that was what life was. And now that I can do things, let's do it. If I'm bored, it's my fault. Let's go.
I love it. I love it. I think that's a really good place to pivot in this moment right now. We talk a lot about how identity can be slippery in the midst of change, and when you remove the titles, whether it's professional or personal, particularly during times of seasons that are unraveling or unfolding. And so for us, we like to end every episode in this manner. And so, Melissa, right now in this season of life, if you had to describe yourself in 3 words, not your professionals title, your family title, how would you introduce yourself? Hi, I am.
Okay. I would say hi, I'm Melissa. I'm the luckiest Black girl. I would, if that wasn't acceptable, I would say hi, I'm Melissa. I'm an explorer and I'm searching.
I like that.
Of exploring and searching, which of those do you feel resonates more with you right now?
Exploring resonates most with me.
Exploring.
Exploring.
Okay.
Like I'm exploring my rosé.
I know that's right. We're the bottom of that grass.
Well, Melissa, thank you so much. Again, I think, you've given us a lot to think about. Not tips, just things that we can sit with and just ways to look at our own life and our own journey and and the chapter that we currently are sitting in. And so thank you for being here. I wish you continue joy and as you continue exploring.
Yeah. And I think it's for us to, our listeners to really, what you can take from this is around your passion. If it is a passion, if it is a love, if it is a like, pay attention to it, but also figuring out if it outweighs, if the passion outweighs the light, how do you get it? So if things come knocking at your door, such as these health issues that unfortunately Melissa had to go through, if it is also what comes knocking at your door, that this passion is it's not enough to really sustain me. And I don't mean that financially. I mean that if it doesn't continue to sustain your identity, and who you are, really understanding who you are and your values, that's just another opportunity for you to pause and also reflect about, does this make sense for me in this season of my life?
True.
So thank you, Melissa, for joining us on the After Chapter, and luck with your Spanish classes.
Buena suerte, girl.
Suerte, amiga.
Yo lo necesito. I need it. Okay. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Thanks for spending time with us on the After Chapter podcast.
Like, follow, subscribe, and share. Until next time, pause, take a sip, and stay with what's unfolding.
Oh, one more thing. Here comes the legal part. Our lawyers will be really happy we said this. The After Chapter podcast is presented solely for educational and entertainment purposes. We are two women pouring into this conversation with you. We are not licensed therapists, and nothing you hear on this show is intended to replace the advice of a physician, therapist, professional coach, or any other qualified professional. If you're in a season that calls for deeper support, please reach out to a professional and know that reaching out is one of the bravest things you can do.